They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello out there, thanks for joining us on Political Platform. Thanks again, it's a Monday and we have the detail of all the reports we have been taking for you since Friday. And we want to thank you for always finding time to join us. 30 minutes, we'll be running around and we'll be giving you all the reports. Okiri Agbonsuremi is my name. And we'll be talking about the need for the government to take proactive steps towards the control of some of the problems that usually confront us, particularly those ones that we can see. We talk about the flooding in Benue State recently. In 2012, it was all over across the Niger and the Benue, and up to now, we have not been able to find out how to nip these problems in the bud and have a permanent solution to them. We have a guest who will join us to talk about it. And we have the other sundry updates for you. A lot of reactions have continued to trail Aisha's, the Minister of Women Affairs, her outburst or her pronouncement that she will not support the president if he wants to contest in 2019. A lot of people are saying, yes, she's right, he's speaking her mind. Some say, no, it's marks of disloyalty. A lot of actions are on. And have you been following up what also has been happening between the Kaduna Aziz, talking about El Rufai in this whole saga of whether the president will want to contest or he does not want to contest in 2019. We also talk about the Anambra elections. We pray that time permit us to talk about the Anambra elections. We need to give you update continuously on the situation with Anambra elections so that you know how we are going around them. And we have other things you have also raised in the mail, politicalplatform@yahoo.com, where we expect you usually to share your views. We are happy that so many of you take time to write to us. And again, want to apologize if we cannot take your mails because we can't take everybody's mails. I have almost everybody in the house. Let me begin from our colleague, friend, and the presenter on the program, who is temporarily now in Asaba, serving with the Delta State Governor, Ehiedu Aniangu, who is joining us this morning. Ehiedu, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, listener.
And Dr. Amechi Anakwe is also right in the studio. Amechi, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Here the statements of Aisha Hassan has sparked of the race for 2019 presidential election. At least those masquerade that have been at the foreground now are beginning to come out, and it will be interesting to see what will happen.
I didn't want Mada is enjoying.
APC.
I didn't want Mada is enjoying is Atiku Abubakar,
who
has suddenly is getting a lot of disciples for himself. Now you know how Nigerians do it.
Of course,
once they hear that he may be interested, everybody is jumping around to say.
People want to be around any candidate. You know what it means, even when you're not supposed. And there are so many people that have contested the election in Nigeria who are not supposed to be. But those hangers-on that want to control the campaign funding will always encourage you and tell you all manners of half-truths that people are praying, fast, starving for you to contest or declare. If not, they feed you with the wrong information. The campaign funding, is the money. Once it comes out, they will now go home with the proceeds.
All right, I have Ijoma Osama on the platform. Ijoma, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Okiria. I still think APC needs to to be very careful in handling the minister's statements. Yes, because from what I hear now, I don't think it's palatable. It's not a good one. It's going to affect their party if they are not careful. They shouldn't make the mistake PDP made before, so that we don't go back to the same line again.
All right, let's just take bits of our comments on them. Mustafa Mohammed is also writing here. Mustafa, welcome to the program. Have you been watching the hurricanes in the United States of America compared to the kind of action, particularly the media action, the government action, compared to what we do here?
Exactly, Okiria. There's just one fundamental thing. Early warning system is also working with their readiness to solve, to address these kind of issues when they happen. In Nigeria, it's more of an eye service. You see government agencies that are supposed to address such issues. They don't even know where they are. They don't know how to address such systems. They don't have even enough trained personnel. In the US, you even have volunteers. The Air Force even have its own volunteer corps, including pilots that it called. And of course, they have saved a lot of people, even journalists.
Well, you know, they have come a very, very long way. But I think the argument of some of the us here is that we should not follow the same bumpy road that they follow to learn. We can actually copy from
life is easy now. Well, some of the monies people steal to take to UK, Dubai, and others, you can actually use it. The worst is the state government, where you have over 80% of Nigerians are living. The state government don't have even.
You can see how the governor of Benue State is overwhelmed and it's almost
because he was helpless in the matter. He was actually not ready. This long convoy of vehicles, 20, 30, half of these vehicles can put a structure together for emergencies.
Deba Yobodun is also right here. Deba Yobodun, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Last week I raised the issue of that we are developing, and we must appreciate that fact that we now have agencies of government that can put us on notice of what may likely happen, and they do happen. But unfortunately, the level of raising the consciousness of the people and preparing to prevent some of these the ill effects of this natural disaster is the one that bother me and worry me. The Presidential Committee on Flooding has over the weekend donated 250 million naira to Benue State, but that is good. But it's a temporary relief.
It doesn't solve the problem.
It doesn't solve the problem on a permanent basis. The problem of Kogi State, for instance, I do know that in the last 12 years, it's almost every year that you experience that level of flooding in that axis of River Niger in Lokoja. So I do not see any reason why it is difficult for Kogi State government, for instance. Okay. We must not leave everything to the federal.
That's going to be our talking point today. Shadrach Akaloku is an expert in water management and what we can do. He has a lot of study he has done. He probably will be giving us and our listener and the government an insight into how we can actually get to a permanent solution to some of these problems. We know them. We know they will occur. We paper the cracks around them and pretend that they will not happen. Then we begin to get them on. By the time he speaks with us, then we will know exactly where we are. And Uju Eje just joining us. Uju, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Ohiria. I think you and Bayo just hit the nail on the head. The whole thing is not the patch method that we've been using, but actually identifying the causes of this flooding. If it is man-made, we tackle it. Reorientation would go a long way. And the Vice President said, dredging the River Benue, and of course,
we have talked about dredging for 4 years. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we take the bills we have, and then right away we'll go to the crux of the matter. Our guests will be introduced. Please don't go away. We are on Political Platform, and we want you to take as much as possible. Please stay with us.
Bust it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Hello, welcome to the meal segment. I am Usaiti Yari.
And I am Etenikan Akipu. You're welcome.
Our first mail is from Obasi Sunday in Ebonyi State. He says, after listening to your Friday deliberations on the need to restructure Nigeria, I think that Mr. Ohiria was wrong in his insistence that the Southeast and South-South will not agree to be in one region. At least, language and culture are some of the common features we as brothers have in common. And to every average Northerner, South-South people are Igbos. Prior to the military takeover, we were in one region, existing harmoniously. May God bless Nigeria.
And Seal Obochi in Kobo Abuja is asking which way in Nigeria. He goes on to say, what is actually happening in today's Nigeria? The rate at which workers' union give warnings of strike actions is unbecoming in an administration that promised change. Anyway, what is change? Change is completely moving away from our old ways of doing things. How far has the country attained the change promised by this administration is better imagined than seen. I therefore urge President Buhari to please discuss with all labor unions so that all these looming crises will not see us. Let us for once see that change is observed by not allowing labor unions to embark on industrial actions, which is one of our old ways of doing things.
Away from that, Eka Dixon in Abuja says the over-militarization of the entire country, with the new launch of a military operation in the southeast, where allegations of human rights abuse against unarmed civilians have started, is a dangerous move by the federal government and the military authority. Some illegal activities of Nnamdi Kanu and his boys may not be in the best interest of the people of the region, but it has not gone beyond the control of the civil security outfit. This is a civil unrest which the police and civil defense can conveniently handle. There is no war in the southeast. More soldiers should rather be deployed to the northeast to fight the dreaded Boko Haram resurgence.
And Michael Ibe in Nasarawa State reacts to the comments by Aisha Al-Hassan. He goes on to say, "Dear crew, I want to commend the Minister of Women Affairs for following the dictate of her heart. That is integrity. We are in a country where our politicians lack the courage to speak the truth, especially if it affects the buttering of their bread. It is unfortunate to hear the lady is being hounded as for saying the truth. More grace to her elbow. May other politicians always have the guts to speak the truth to save our nation and democracy."
That's it on the mail segment on Political Platform. Keep sending your mails to politicalplatform@yahoo.com. The rest of the program continues after the break.
Bust it!
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
Thank you so much. We need to find time to be devoted to the issue of the allegations raised by Senator Haman Misal over the collection of money by the police, which the former Inspector General of Police, who is currently the chairman of the Police Service Commission, told us in an interview, talking about Mike Okiro, told us in an interview last week that it is legal under the Police Act for the police to collect funds for sundry services they render if there are demands by individuals or organizations for police, and that such funds are split. They split them into three portions. One portion goes to as allowances to those police officers who were involved in it,
who were deployed
for that operation. Then the police fund, the police reward fund gets a portion of it, and the others are should be paid to the Federation account, Section 34 of the Police Act, according to the former Inspector General of Police, who does not. He's so capable. I mean, he's one who is in a position to tell us not just that he was a former police IG, he's also the chairman of the Police Service Commission. Unfortunately, the police is fighting this. They don't want Nigerians to know that monies are being collected and where they are being where they are paid into. The allegation is that over 10 billion is collected every month by the police, and they put it in their pocket. They don't pay any money to anywhere. We'll be coming to this. It's not something we want to get under the just sweep it under the carpet, because most of the time things happen in Nigeria and people just sweep it under the rug and nobody talks about it anymore. They are making a lot of allegations to cover up, calling Miss House. But we have to go to the root of the issue. But today we are talking about how to solve our problems permanently. I mean, some of the problems we can quickly identify. Talk about flooding and water, making use of our water resources. And we have Dr. Shedrack Alfred Akoloku. He is an expert in development studies. He has a PhD in that area, and he also specialized in political economy. A lawyer himself, and he has a lot of activities. He has assisted working with several agencies of government in Nigeria to solve some of these problems. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, sir.
You're welcome.
Are we helpless?
We're not helpless. If we were, then we would not be here. It's the acknowledgement and recognition of the existence of a problem presupposes that the solution is around the corner. The problem with our water resources management in Nigeria is our inability to identify the problems, acknowledge where they are, and at what stage we should take action.
Now let me just break those three into. Let us take them one by one. Acknowledging it, yes. Identifying where they are, and then providing solutions. We know the problems, don't we?
We do not seem to know all the problems, because each time we want to respond, we respond by papering through the problems. I get embarrassed when I hear people talk about flooding and water resources management. The first response is that people are building on waterways. It is the least of the problems. Flooding is the inundation of channels or water riverbeds, and also homes and communities. We must distinguish between flooding as arising from the inundation of river causes and flooding arising what we call flash floods, which occur in towns and communities as a result of rainfall. When the rains fall, because of lack of proper planning of our cities and communities.
We saw that one in Lekki recently.
So and they didn't anticipate what will happen, then the floods will overrun. But because they are flash floods, they last short moments, after which maybe a week or two they go away. The longer one is the one coming from river causes. You must understand the nature of our river system, their interconnectivity, and the discharges they make to enable you arrest them. You don't arrest them in one corner and leave the other. A river network in Nigeria, the river network in Nigeria is very exciting.
Very beautiful, because very it's beautiful. Something that you can easily, everybody understand it.
As far back as 1955, the then International Bank for Reconstruction and Development did a study in Nigeria and warned the colonial government that something must be done about Nigeria's water resources. Nothing was ever done until the Niger Dam project of 1967-69, when they completed the Kainji Dam. Then nobody talked about water resources anymore until 1976, when the first 11 river basin authorities were created.
Yes.
But the creation of the river basin authorities arose as a result of the declaration of by the United Nations of the 1970s as the development decade. And Nigeria tried to mimic President Roosevelt's intervention in 1933, when he created the Tennessee Valley Authority, which covers 7 states of southeastern United States. But the distinguishing
our river basin.
The river basin authorities. The distinguishing feature between the TVA and our own river basin authorities is that the TVA is by law not allowed to draw from public funds. They are independent.
Yeah.
They are independent. So their mandate covers generation, transmission, distribution, and sale of electric energy. It also covers the development of ports, navigation, ecotourism, job creation, hospitality, and all the things associated with water resources, because they recognize that water resources constitute the highest resource that mankind can ever have. And they created that, and today the TVA is a world class. And
so where did you get our own wrong?
Our own was wrong because the way the river basin authority is created in Nigeria is that it is hegemonic, it is autocratic, it is absolute.
And apart from that, it is a source for sharing money.
Not just a matter of sharing
because monies are budgeted.
No. Look into the structure of the river basin authorities in Nigeria. The 11 river basin authorities are under the strict control of the president and the minister of water resources. Not even one river basin authority can relate to the other without approval of the president or the minister. Now take back the matter. I hear people talk about blaming states for doing nothing. The states are not programmed to do anything about the challenge of water resources. How is it that the constitution that Nigeria has, whether in 1963 or 1979 or 1999, put water in the exclusive legislative list?
Yeah.
Item in the second schedule, part 1 of the second schedule of the constitution, item 36 A, B, C, D, put shipping and navigation in the exclusive preserve of the federal government. Item 64 puts water exclusively with the federal government. So the states have no power. They cannot even create one dam. They cannot generate 1 megawatt of electricity, unlike what happens elsewhere. So, but when the tendencies and when the crisis occur,
the governor is the one that bears the brunt.
They go and blame the states. Now, let me just warn. people are saying Benue is overwhelmed. Benue will continue to be overwhelmed, and it's going to suffer double jeopardy. At the end of the flood, because in the next 2-3 months there will be drought, the flood plains where the waters have devastated Benue and Kogi and the other states that are following will again grow grass, and the herdsmen will land to feed their stock, and another crisis will start, and we'll start looking for how to solve the problem. We have to go back to the issue of identifying what the problems are and map out development strategy for containing water, total river management, what we call watershed management, river restoration, channelization. I'm not amused that you go to Benue to sympathize with victims of flooding. The next day is Lokoja. When are you going to go to when are you going to go to Anambra? When will you visit rivers and Imo and Bayelsa?
The Vice President spoke of one major issue the federal government is considering, to dredge the main rivers, River Benue and possibly again River Niger.
Would that solve the problem?
It will not solve the problem because you are tackling the symptom. You are not looking at the disease. Dredging the Benue looks good, but when you dredge the Benue, where will the water flow to?
Yeah.
The so-called dredging of the River Niger ended in Warri. Warri has no outlet, does not contain the waters of the River Niger. The River Niger has over 50 channels into the Atlantic, and not 1 meter has been dredged since the war began. The Koluama, the Pennington, the Warri River, the Benin River, the Santa Barbara, the St. Bartholomew, the Orashi, the Sombrero, the Andoni River, the Boni River, all of them flow into. Nobody in Nigeria can show you the mouth of the River Niger.
That's true. Because
so if you do not know it, how dare you talk about how dare you talk about dredging? You can dredge the Benue because Benue receives more water than the Niger. The Donga, the Katsina Ala, the Ngurore, the Gongola, the Taraba, all the smaller rivers that come all the way from the Cameroons empty their water. The Benue. Yeah. Over 68 billion cubic meters of gas of water is received by the Benue every year. The Niger from its source in Guinea, in Futatora and Futajelo, does not receive more tributaries until it enters Nigeria in Kebbi State. He receives the Rima, he receives the Sokoto, he receives the Kaduna, he receives the Gurara, he receives the Shiroro. All of them flow, and everyone ends in Makodi, in Lokoja, and they flow to the Atlantic. Nobody has asked. In fact, even after Lokoja, you still have the Anambra flowing into the Niger. So nobody's talking about what to do with all these challenges. So if you must solve the problem of flooding, you must do river capture, you must do restoration, you must do above all channelization, because all these channels can be created so that the water can go into the Atlantic. And above all, the arbitrary power of the federal government over control of water resources is the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, because
so we tend to gloss over it. Oh, what are the states and local government? They will do nothing. That is something they can do. Benue will continue to be overwhelmed. Anambra will be overwhelmed. Rivers will be overwhelmed. Edo, Delta,
Asaba, everywhere.
And we raised this alarm in 2012. We're here again. We're waiting for the next period. And mind you, we didn't have this kind of challenge when we had the first major flood in Nigeria in 1911. There were no cities, not a single third road.
Well, when you say channelization, what do you mean? You mentioned some key issues apart from dredging. You mentioned channelization.
A river is like a
restoration.
Human being. Restoration. A river is like a human being. You tend it. It's like a plant. When those who plant cassava or plant yam, when you plant the yam and spread the plume,
you don't just leave it.
You don't leave it. You tender it until it enters a stick, a rope, and then climbs a stick, and then it blossoms, and then it tubers for you. That's how a river behaves. So if the river, all the rivers in Nigeria, the networks and all the hydrological basins or hydrological areas that have been created, and the basin authorities that have been created are not working in sync, you are doing nothing. When everything comes to Lokoja, you must ensure that the water is terminally guided into the Atlantic. So when after Lokoja, the waters just spread.
Now let's, because of our time, let's talk about our preparedness to solve this problem. Are we ready? Do we really know exactly how to go about it? Or are we going to be like you suggested, like it's on the ground, we just paper the cracks now, and at the end of the day...
I have told you, there are very many examples in the world, even in Africa. The Koreans have what they call the Four River System Restoration Scheme, which started in 2008. A Professor Park of University of Wisconsin and Madison, developed a scheme for river restoration, and they were able to create a body of knowledge and a scheme. Today, the 4 rivers of Korea generate so much power. They provide for irrigation, they provide for tourism, They provide for restoration of what we call riparian communities, population centers, and the story is different. But in one case, we are doing nothing. We are waiting until another crisis will occur. So if you look at the issue of river restoration or river capture, or the problem of managing the river basin authorities, you first of all democratize water.
I agree with you 100% that we indeed need to reduce the amount of money being drawn from these different agencies.
You didn't even hear enough. You didn't hear enough. I said there were examples even in Africa. I gave an example of the United States and Korea. In Africa, the Egyptian example, 50% of the population of Egypt is in the Nile Delta.
Yes.
Because of what? Abdel Nasser in 1956 opened the Suez Canal and went ahead to construct the Aswan High Dam. And the Aswan High Dam is a major source of resources, power generation, ecotourism, irrigation, and all that in Egypt. Then President Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana visited Egypt and fell in love with what the Aswan Dam.
He came to
Africa. He came to and built the Kosombo Dam on the Volta. The Volta is not one of the major rivers of Africa. You must have heard the children sing in those days of the Nile, Niger, Congo, Senegal, Orange, Limpopo, Zambezi. Yeah. The Zambezi is the smallest of the 7 great rivers of Africa. Volta is not one of them. The basin of the Congo is larger than the United States, but we don't have anything to get the water from the Congo to recharge the areas that are water stressed. So it is the inability to manage the water cycle, the drought and the flow cycle. That is our challenge.
We can't really have enough from you, Dr. Shedrack. I think it's something that we would, and anytime you are in town, we wish.
I think he needs to return.
Yeah, you need to return.
Via telephone.
Yeah, we can also talk to you via telephone because we need to really begin to look at the issues of solving the problems permanently.
Rest assured, ever available.
Thank you so much, sir. And if you have had enough, okay, but if you have not had enough, you also want to contribute, you want to tell us something you know about how to manage our water resources, politicalplatform@yahoo.com is the route to reach us. Please stay away from trouble and have a wonderful week. Okiri Agbosuremi here.
Bust it.